The periscope shows 3 ships, 2 freighters, rusted and slow, riding low in the water with cargo, and between them smaller, faster, a passenger liner. Her white paint gleams, even in the gray Atlantic dawn. Klaus can see people on her decks, small dark figures that might be women, might be children. His executive officer stands behind him, silent, waiting. Through the speaking tube, the voice of the torpedo room. Tubes 1 and 2 ready, Herr Oberleutnant. Klaus's hand rests on the firing trigger. The attack clock shows 30 seconds until optimal firing position. 30 seconds to make a choice that will define everything that follows. The passenger ship is faster. If he fires at the freighters, she will escape. She will warn the convoy. She will bring destroyers. His submarine U-63 will die, and every man aboard her. 38 souls sealed in steel, 40 meters below the surface, breathing air that already tastes of oil and sweat and fear. Or he fires at the liner, sinks her, and the freighters escape anyway because he will not have enough torpedoes for all 3. The attack clock shows 20 seconds. His orders are clear. Unrestricted submarine warfare. All vessels bound for Britain. No warnings, no mercy. This is what Berlin demands. This is what will starve England into surrender. This is what will win the war. But Klaus can still see the dark figures on the liner's deck, small shapes that might be children. 15 seconds. His finger tightens on the trigger. But to understand this moment, to understand how a 28-year-old officer from Hamburg came to be 40 meters underwater, holding the power to kill hundreds of people he cannot see and will never know, we must go back. Back to 4:13 that morning, when Klaus first opened his eyes in the officers' quarters, and the day still held the illusion that some choices might be right. 4:13 in the morning, Klaus wakes to the sound he always wakes to, the steady thrum of electric motors, driving U-63 deeper into the Atlantic. The sound has been constant for 71 hours. 71 hours since they last surfaced. 71 hours breathing the same air, recycled and stale, thick with the smell of diesel fuel, machine oil, and 38 unwashed men. He lies in his bunk, a space barely wider than his shoulders, carved into the forward bulkhead of the officers' quarters, and performs his morning ritual. Deep breath through the nose. The air tastes metallic. His chest tightens slightly, not yet dangerous, but getting worse. By tonight, if they do not surface, men will begin to faint. By tomorrow morning, they will be breathing poison. Klaus swings his legs out of the bunk. His head clears the top by 3 inches. Around him, in the dim red light of the night lamps, the submarine's interior stretches forward and aft a steel tube 7 meters in diameter, 64 meters long. Every centimeter packed with machinery, torpedoes, provisions, and men who have not seen sunlight since Monday morning. He checks his watch, a gift from his father when Klaus graduated from the Naval Academy in Kiel, 1914, a different world. The watch face shows not just time but depth, 42 meters. Temperature, 11 degrees Celsius. The watch is more reliable than some of the submarine's gauges. Klaus stands. His knees crack. He is 28 years old, but 3 months of submarine duty have aged him. His uniform dark blue wool, once crisp, hangs on a frame that has lost 8 kilograms since January. The collar is stiff with dried sweat and salt. He washed it last week, in seawater, using a rag. It made no difference. The officers' quarters, a space 3 meters square that Klaus shares with his executive officer, Lieutenant Müller, and the engineer, Oberleutnant Hoffmann, smells of bodies and tobacco and damp wool. Müller sleeps in the bunk above Klaus's, snoring softly. Hoffmann is already awake, sitting at the tiny fold-down table, writing in his log by the light of a single electric lamp. He glances up as Klaus moves. "Morning," Hoffmann says. His voice is quiet. In a submarine, you learn to speak softly. Sound carries through steel like a bell. "Morning," Klaus replies. "Air? Bad. Carbon dioxide at 3%. We need to surface by tonight." Klaus nods. 3% carbon dioxide means headaches, nausea, confusion. At 4%, men lose consciousness. At 5%, they die. The submarine's air scrubbers, canisters of soda lime that absorb carbon dioxide, are nearly exhausted. They have perhaps 18 hours of breathable air remaining. But surfacing means vulnerability. A submarine on the surface is slow, visible, defenseless. British destroyers hunt U-boats with the same patience U-boats hunt convoys. If they surface in daylight, they might live 30 minutes before a destroyer's guns find them. Klaus moves aft, ducking through the circular pressure door that separates the officers' quarters from the control room. The control room is the submarine's brain, a space 5 meters long, dominated by the periscope well, the diving planes, the ballast controls, the speaking tubes that connect to every compartment. 6 men work here during diving operations. Now, at deep cruise, only 2, the helm and the plainsman, maintaining depth and course with small adjustments to the rudder and diving planes. The watch officer, Lieutenant Schreiber, youngest of the officers, at 23, stands by the periscope. He salutes as Klaus enters. "Report," Klaus says. "Course 270, depth 42 meters, speed 4 knots, no contacts, batteries at 60%, estimated position 70 kilometers west of Fastnet Rock, 70 kilometers west of Ireland, in the heart of the western approaches, the funnel through which every merchant ship bound for Liverpool or Bristol must pass. O63 has been patrolling here for 6 days, submerged by day, surfacing at night to run the diesel engines, charge batteries, and breathe. They have sunk 3 ships, a Norwegian timber carrier on February 18th, a Greek freighter on February 20th. Yesterday, a British collier carrying coal from Wales to France. Each sinking followed the same pattern: surface at dawn, sight the target, submerge, approach, fire, dive deep, listen to the ship, break apart overhead. Klaus has stopped counting the dead. Klaus moves through the submarine, performing his morning inspection. This is command, knowing every system, every man, every weakness. A submarine is not a ship. It is a machine, complex and unforgiving, where a single failed valve can kill everyone aboard. He moves aft through the control room into the radio room, a closet-sized space where the radio operator, Matros Klein, sits hunched over his equipment, headphones clamped to his ears. Klein is 40 years old, too old for submarine duty, but he is the best radio man in the fleet. He can hear a British destroyer's propellers at 15 kilometers. "Anything?" Klaus asks. Klein shakes his head. Quiet. Some commercial traffic to the south. Weather reports from Valentia Island. Nothing military. Klaus nods and continues aft. Through the radio room into the galley, a space barely large enough for 2 men to stand. The cook, Obermatros Werner, is preparing breakfast. Black bread, margarine, ersatz coffee made from roasted acorns. The bread is stale, the margarine rancid, the coffee tastes like dirt, but it is food, and in a submarine, food is morale. "How are the provisions?" Klaus asks. Werner shrugs. We have bread for 5 more days, sausage for 3. Potatoes are sprouting. The cheese is growing something interesting. Coffee? Enough for a week, if the men don't drink it all today. Klaus manages a small smile. Submarine humor, always dark, always honest. Werner has been at sea since 1914. He survived the sinking of 2 surface ships before volunteering for U-boats. He says submarines are safer because at least you know when you are going to die. When the depth charges start falling, you have perhaps 90 seconds. On a surface ship, you might burn for hours. Klaus does not find this comforting. He continues aft through the crew quarters, a space 10 meters long where 32 enlisted men live. Bunks are stacked 3 high along both bulkheads, so close together a man must slide in sideways. Half the crew is sleeping. The other half is on watch in the torpedo rooms, the engine room, the control room. The watch changes every 4 hours. There is no day or night in a submarine. Only watch and sleep and the slow accumulation of exhaustion. The air here is worse. Klaus feels it in his lungs, a tightness, a need to breathe deeper than normal. The men sleep in their clothes. There is nowhere to wash except with seawater and rags. The smell is overwhelming. Sweat, diesel, bilge water, urine from the single toilet that serves 38 men and frequently backs up. Klaus moves through quickly. The men do not wake. They have learned to sleep through anything. The motor noise, the depth charge attacks, the grinding of the hydroplanes, the shouts from the control room. Sleep is survival. At the aft end of the crew quarters, he ducks through another pressure door into the engine room. Here, the 2 diesel engines silent now, while submerged fill most of the available space. Massive 6-cylinder machines, each producing 500 horsepower, each consuming oxygen at a rate that would kill the crew in 3 hours if run underwater. Between the diesels, the electric motors hum, drawing power from the batteries, turning the propeller shafts. The chief engineer, Maschinisten Matt Fischer, is checking oil levels. Fischer is 53, the oldest man aboard. He served in the Kaiser's Navy for 30 years before the war. He knows engines the way a priest knows scripture. If something breaks, Fischer can fix it with wire, grease, and profanity. "Morning, Herr Oberleutnant," Fischer says without looking up. "How are the engines?" "The port diesel has a cracked cooling line. I patched it, but it will fail again. Maybe today, maybe next week. We need a dockyard." "We need to sink ships first," Klaus says. Fischer grunts. "The batteries are at 60%. If we run submerged all day, we will have 30% by tonight. Enough to dive once if we are attacked. After that, we surface or we sink. This is the eternal calculation of submarine warfare. Batteries versus air versus enemy. Every hour submerged drains batteries and fouls air. Every hour surfaced risks detection. The submarine is a vessel designed to hide, but it cannot hide forever." Klaus completes his inspection and returns to the control room. The crew is waking now. The off-watch men stumble toward the galley for breakfast. They move slowly, carefully. In the peculiar shuffling gait all submarine sailors develop, never lifting your feet, never making sudden movements, always keeping one hand on the hull for balance. At 6:30, Klaus orders the submarine to periscope depth. "Up periscope," Klaus says. The watch officer operates the hydraulic controls. The periscope rises from its well with a hiss of compressed air. Klaus drops to his knees. The periscope eyepiece is at chest height when fully extended and presses his face to the rubber seal. Dawn. The Atlantic spreads before him in shades of gray sky, gray water, gray horizon, waves 2 meters high, wind from the west at 15 knots, visibility good, perhaps 8 kilometers. No ships, no aircraft, no land. He rotates the periscope through 360 degrees, scanning methodically. This is the most dangerous moment of every day when the periscope breaks the surface, a steel finger pointing at the sky, visible to any aircraft or destroyer within kilometers. He keeps the search brief, 30 seconds maximum. Then down periscope, secure from periscope depth, make your depth 50 meters. The submarine sinks back into darkness. The plainsman adjusts the diving planes. The depth gauge needle descends, 30 meters, 40, 50. Here they are invisible. Here they are safe, as long as the air lasts. Klaus returns to the officers' quarters. Müller is awake now, shaving with cold seawater and a straight razor, using a shard of mirror propped against the bulkhead. He pauses, razor halfway down his cheek. Anything? Empty ocean, Klaus says. We will search west along the shipping lanes. If we find nothing by noon, we surface tonight and move north. Müller nods and returns to shaving. They have had this conversation before. Every day is a variation of the same day. Hunt, hide, wait. Sometimes they find targets. Sometimes they die. Most days, they simply wait, suspended in darkness, breathing bad air, listening to the ocean groan against the hull. Klaus sits at the fold-down table and opens his orders folder. The papers inside are stained with moisture and oil, the ink running, but the orders are clear, most secret. From Kaiserliche Marine Oberkommando to all U-boat commanders, effective February 1st, 1917. Unrestricted submarine warfare, authorized against all vessels in war zone waters, no warnings to be given, no exceptions. Unrestricted warfare. The phrase sounds clinical. It means sink everything. Freighters, tankers, passenger liners, British, French, American, neutral. If a ship sails for Britain, it dies. Berlin believes this policy will starve Britain into surrender within 6 months. Perhaps they are right. Or perhaps they have simply unleashed something that will destroy Germany. Klaus has been a submarine officer for 8 months. In that time, he has sunk 11 ships. He does not know how many people he has killed. Hundreds, certainly, perhaps more. He tells himself they are enemies. He tells himself this is war. He tells himself that if he does not sink them, British ships will sink German ships, and German sailors will die. He tells himself many things. At 9:45, the soundman reports propeller noise, bearing 090, range unknown, multiple contacts. Klaus is in the control room in seconds. What do you have? The soundman, Matros Vogel, 20 years old, with ears so sensitive he can identify ship types by propeller signature, listens intently to his hydrophones, eyes closed, multiple contacts. I count at least 3, maybe 5, reciprocating engines, slow speed. Freighters, I think, bearing 090, range approximately 12 kilometers. Course eastward. A convoy, bound for Britain. Klaus feels his heart rate increase. This is the moment every submarine commander lives for, the moment of contact, but it is also the moment of maximum danger. A convoy means escorts, destroyers with depth charges. Make your course 090, Klaus orders. Increase speed to 8 knots. Rig for silent running. The submarine turns. The electric motors increase their hum. Throughout the boat, men move to reduce noise, securing loose equipment, closing unnecessary valves, speaking in whispers. Sound carries through water. A dropped wrench can mean death. Klaus calculates intercept time. At 8 knots, they will reach attack position in 90 minutes. By then, the air will be worse. The batteries will be lower. But if they can sink even one ship, it will be worth it. He stands at the chart table, plotting courses, and waits. For the next 2 hours, U-63 hunts. Klaus stands in the control room, listening to the soundman's reports. The contacts grow louder. 3 freighters confirmed. Heavy laden, riding low. No escort detected yet, but that means nothing. Destroyers can appear from nowhere. At 11:15, Klaus orders periscope depth. The submarine rises slowly. The depth gauge climbs. 50 meters, 40, 30, 20, 15. At 15 meters, Klaus extends the periscope. There, on the horizon, 3 ships exactly as the soundman reported. 2 large freighters, perhaps 5,000 tons each, and between them, smaller, a passenger liner, perhaps 3,000 tons, old, slow, her white paint streaked with rust. Klaus's chest tightens. A passenger liner, civilians. He rotates the periscope, searching for escorts. Nothing. The convoy is unprotected. Strange. British convoys usually travel with at least 1 destroyer. Perhaps the escort is beyond visual range. Or perhaps the British are so desperate for shipping, they are sending vessels to sea unprotected. Down periscope, Klaus says. His voice is steady, but his hands are not. Set up attack solution. Range to lead freighter, 8,000 meters. Target speed, 9 knots. Target course, 120. The attack team moves into position. Mueller takes the plot, calculating firing solutions. The torpedo officer opens the speaking tube to the forward torpedo room. Prepare tubes 1 through 4. Set depth 3 meters. Magnetic detonators. In the forward torpedo room, invisible from the control room, but connected by voice and protocol, the torpedo crew opens the tube doors. 4 torpedoes, each 3 meters long, each carrying 200 kilograms of high explosive, each costing more than Klaus will earn in 5 years, each capable of breaking a ship's spine with a single hit. Klaus watches the attack clock. The submarine is in position. The convoy is approaching. In 10 minutes, they will be in optimal firing range. All Klaus must do is choose a target. The problem is simple. He has 4 torpedoes. The convoy has 3 ships. If he fires at the freighters, the passenger liner escapes. If he fires at the liner, the freighters escape. The freighters carry cargo steel, coal, machinery, war material, legitimate targets under any definition. The liner carries people, possibly hundreds of them. His orders say all targets are legitimate. His conscience says something else. Mueller appears at his shoulder. Firing solution ready. Herr Oberleutnant. Range to lead freighter, 6,000 meters. Recommend firing sequence. 2 torpedoes at the lead freighter, 2 at the trailing freighter. Let the liner go. She is not worth a torpedo. Klaus nods slowly. It is the logical choice, the tactical choice. Sink the valuable targets, conserve ammunition, follow the rules of naval warfare as they existed before Berlin decided there were no rules anymore. But Klaus is thinking about the liner. If she escapes, she will radio for help. She will report a submarine in the area. British destroyers will come, they will search, they will drop depth charges. U-63, already low on batteries and air, might not survive. Or Klaus can sink the liner, ensure she cannot report, protect his submarine and crew, kill civilians to save his men. This is the calculation submarine commanders make every day. This is what Berlin does not tell the newspapers. Unrestricted warfare sounds heroic in proclamations. In practice, it means deciding whether children should die so that your friends might live. Herr Oberleutnant, Müller says quietly. Orders? Klaus looks at the attack clock. 5 minutes to optimal position, 5 minutes to decide. Through the speaking tube, the torpedo room reports ready. The helmsman holds course steady. The plainsman maintains depth at 15 meters. The periscope just breaking the surface, a thin steel line in the Atlantic swell. The submarine hums with electric tension. 38 men, all waiting. Klaus has been trained for this moment. The Naval Academy at Kiel taught tactics, torpedo physics, damage control, leadership. They did not teach what to do when every choice is wrong. He thinks of his father, who served in the Kaiser's navy for 40 years, who gave Klaus the watch he now wears. His father fought in the old wars, where rules existed, where honor meant something. What would his father do? But Klaus already knows the answer. His father would surface. His father would give warning. His father would allow the passengers to abandon ship before firing. His father lived in a different world. A world that died in August 1914. Up periscope, Klaus says. He takes one last look. Through the periscope, Klaus can see details now. The lead freighter is British. He can make out the red ensign at her stern. Her name is painted on her bow, Manchester Brave. She sits low in the water, heavy with cargo, probably steel ingots or coal. Her deck is empty except for 2 figures near the bridge, probably lookouts. They are too far away to see the periscope. The trailing freighter is older, rustier, no flag visible, possibly a neutral vessel, Norwegian, Dutch, Greek. Berlin's orders say it does not matter. If she sails for Britain, she is a legitimate target. Klaus does not know if he believes this, but he knows he will follow the order because the alternative is mutiny, and mutiny means a firing squad. Between the 2 freighters, the passenger liner, Klaus adjusts the periscope's magnification. He can see people on her deck now, perhaps 20 figures, small and indistinct, moving about. Women, he thinks. The way they move slower, more careful, and children, he cannot be certain, but one figure appears to be holding something smaller. His breath catches. The attack clock shows 2 minutes. 2 minutes to optimal firing position. Herr Oberleutnant, Müller says quietly. Decision time. Klaus knows what Müller wants. Müller is 34, married with 2 children in Hamburg. He has served on U-63 for 7 months. He wants to go home. Sinking freighters brings them closer to home. Attacking a liner brings destroyers, brings danger, brings the possibility that his children will grow up without a father. Klaus wants the same thing. Every man on U-63 wants the same thing to survive this patrol, to return to Germany, to breathe clean air, to sleep in a bed that does not pitch and roll, to see the sun. But survival means making choices, and sometimes the choices that ensure survival are the choices that make survival meaningless. Range? Klaus asks. 5,000 meters to lead freighter, the helmsman reports. Torpedo run time, 4 minutes 30 seconds. Klaus does the calculation. If he fires now, the torpedoes will strike the freighters at 11:27. The explosions will be visible for kilometers. Any escorts will converge immediately. The liner, faster than the freighters, will flee. She might outrun U-63. She might reach port. She might report their position. Or Klaus can wait Wait until the convoy passes. Wait until dark. Surface tonight. Charge batteries. Search for another target tomorrow. Play it safe. Take no risks. But tomorrow, the air will be unbreathable. Tomorrow, the batteries will be critical. Tomorrow might be too late. Tubes 1 through 4 are ready. Herr Oberleutnant, the torpedo officer reports. Klaus takes another look through the periscope. The convoy is closer now. He can see the rust on the freighter's hulls. He can count the lifeboats, 4 on each side of the lead freighter, probably half rotten. If he sinks her, the crew will have perhaps 10 minutes to abandon ship. Some will survive. Most will die of hypothermia in the February Atlantic. Water temperature is 7 degrees Celsius. Life expectancy is 30 minutes. This is what unrestricted warfare means. Not just sinking ships, but killing men who are doing their jobs, who are feeding their families, who did not choose this war, but are dying in it anyway. The passenger liner is closer now, too. Klaus can see a name on her bow, Ariadne. Greek name, probably a Greek vessel, neutral, protected by international law. Berlin says international law is suspended. Berlin says the war zone has no rules. Klaus thinks about his orders. He thinks about his crew. He thinks about the dark figures on Ariadne's deck who might be children. He thinks about his father's watch, ticking against his wrist, marking the seconds until he must decide. 1 minute to optimal firing position. Herr Oberleutnant, Muller says. There is urgency in his voice now. We need a decision. Klaus closes his eyes. He takes a deep breath of the foul air. His head pounds from carbon dioxide. His hands shake from exhaustion. He is 28 years old. He is a naval officer in the German Imperial Navy. He has been trained to follow orders. He has been trained to sink ships. He has been trained for everything except this moment. 30 seconds. Klaus opens his eyes. He looks through the periscope one last time, and then he speaks. Fire tube 1. The torpedo officer pulls the firing lever. A hiss of compressed air. A shudder runs through the submarine as 2 tons of steel and explosive leave the tube. The submarine lurches slightly, suddenly lighter, its trim changing. The plainsman adjusts immediately, keeping depth steady. Tube 1 away, running straight and true, the soundman reports. His hydrophones pick up the torpedo's propeller, a high-pitched whine, like a hornet in the dark. Fire tube 2, another hiss, another shudder, another adjustment, tube 2 away. Klaus keeps his eye pressed to the periscope, watching. The torpedoes are invisible, running 3 meters below the surface, propelled by compressed air and a miniature engine, following gyroscopic guidance toward the lead freighter's hull. Torpedo run time, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. That is how long Klaus has to watch, to wait, to wonder if he has just committed murder. Fire tube 3. Tube 3 away. Running straight. Fire tube 4. Tube 4 away. All 4 torpedoes running. Time to impact. 4 minutes 10 seconds. 4 torpedoes. 2 for the lead freighter. 2 for the trailing freighter. The passenger liner Ariadne sails on, untargeted. Mueller was right. The tactical choice. The logical choice. The choice that preserves ammunition and lets the liner escape and brings destroyers down on them. Klaus knows this. He accepted the consequences when he gave the order, but he told himself he was doing the right thing, saving civilians, following some vestige of honor in a war that has abandoned honor. Now, in the silence between firing and impact, he wonders if he has simply condemned his own crew to death to save strangers. Down periscope, Klaus orders. Make your depth 80 meters. Silent running. The submarine sinks. The periscope retracts. Around Klaus, men move quietly, securing equipment, preparing for the counterattack that will surely come. Depth charges, hunters, the hours of terror that follow every attack. Klaus moves to the chart table. He plots an escape course southeast, toward deeper water, away from the convoy's last known position. But he knows it is probably futile. The liner will radio. Destroyers will come. The North Atlantic, in February, is a killing ground for submarines. The control room is silent, except for the hum of motors and the steady ping of the depth gauge. 80 meters. Below the thermocline, the layer of water where temperature changes sharply, which sometimes hides submarines from sound detection. Sometimes, Mueller appears beside him. Good shooting, Herr Oberleutnant. Clean solutions. Klaus says nothing. There is nothing to say. Good shooting means men are about to die. The sound man counts down. Time to impact, 3 minutes. Klaus checks his father's watch. 11:24. In 3 minutes, it will be 11:27. In 3 minutes, the torpedoes will strike, or they will miss. Torpedoes miss more often than admirals admit. Magnetic detonators fail. Gyroscopes drift. The ocean is vast, and ships are small, and sometimes God has mercy. 2 minutes. The crew waits. This is the worst part, the waiting. After firing, there is nothing to do but wait and listen and pray. Some men pray to God, some pray to luck. Some, like Fisher the engineer, pray to the torpedoes themselves, whispering encouragement to the machines as if machines can hear. 1 minute. Klaus closes his eyes. He pictures the torpedoes running through the dark water, 3 meters down, invisible, silent except to hydrophones. He pictures the freighter's hull rusted steel, perhaps 2 centimeters thick, no protection against 200 kilograms of high explosive. He pictures the men on deck, the lookouts who do not know death is racing toward them at 40 kilometers per hour. 30 seconds. Klaus opens his eyes. He looks around the control room. 14 men the control watch, the helmsman, the plainsman, Mueller, the torpedo officer, the soundman, the chart officer, himself. 14 men whose lives depend on the next 30 seconds. If the torpedoes hit, they have a chance. If the torpedoes miss, the liner escapes, reports their position, brings destroyers. Then U-63 becomes a target, a hunted thing, and these 14 men might die today. 15 seconds. This is command. This is what Klaus signed for when he joined the Navy, what he accepted when he took command of U-63, the power to order men into battle. The burden of knowing your decisions will kill people, enemy or friend, stranger or comrade, and you will never know for certain if you chose correctly until it is too late to change. 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7. Klaus grips the chart table. His knuckles turn white. He does not breathe. 3, 2, 1. Impact. Nothing. Silence. The sound man adjusts his hydrophones, pressing them tight against his ears. No explosion. Torpedo 1 missed or failed to detonate. Waiting for torpedo 2. Klaus feels his stomach sink. A miss or a dud. Magnetic detonators are supposed to explode beneath a ship's keel, breaking her spine with water pressure, but they fail constantly triggered too early by magnetic anomalies, or not at all, because the magnetic field is wrong, or simply because the technology is imperfect and war does not forgive imperfection. Torpedo 2. No explosion. Second miss. Mueller curses under his breath. Klaus says nothing. 2 torpedoes, 2 failures, and the freighter sails on, oblivious. Torpedo 3. Impact. Wait. Yes. Explosion. Through the hull, they feel it a deep thump, more vibration than sound, traveling through the water. The shock wave reaches you 63 seconds later, a gentle pressure against the submarine's steel skin. 100 kilometers away, 200 kilograms of high explosive has just torn a hole 3 meters wide in a freighter's hull. The soundman is silent, listening. Then, breaking up noises, hull rupture, she is sinking. One hit, one ship. Klaus has just killed perhaps 20 men, possibly more. He will never know exactly. The number will go into his log as one freighter, approximately 5,000 tons, sunk at 11:27 hours. Position 51 degrees north, 12 degrees west. The men who died will become statistics. Torpedo 4. Impact, explosion, second target hit, breaking up noises confirmed. She is going down. 2 ships, 2 hits. The trailing freighter is dying too. More men drowned, crushed by collapsing bulkheads, trapped below decks as the ship rolls over. Klaus tries not to picture it. He tries to think tactically. 2 targets sunk, mission successful, return to Germany with honor. But he cannot stop thinking about the liner, Ariadne, the ship he let escape, the ship that is, at this moment, transmitting on every frequency, submarine attacked convoy. Position 51 North 12 West. Request immediate assistance. Herr Oberleutnant, the soundman says quietly. His voice has changed. New contact, high-speed propellers, bearing 350, range decreasing rapidly. I assess destroyer, and there it is. The consequence of mercy. Klaus let the liner live, and she brought death to hunt him. Muller looks at Klaus. Orders? Klaus checks the depth gauge. 80 meters. The ocean floor here is approximately 200 meters. They can go deeper, but deeper means colder, means more pressure, means more stress on the hull, means if something breaks, they cannot surface quickly. Make your depth 120 meters, Klaus orders. Rig for depth charge. All non-essential personnel to bunks. Reduce speed to 3 knots. The submarine goes deeper. The crew moves to battle stations. Men lie down in their bunks to reduce the shock of explosions. The cook secures the galley. The torpedo crew closes the watertight doors. Throughout U-63, 38 men prepare to die. The soundman tracks the destroyer, bearing 350, speed 30 knots, range 3,000 meters. She has our position. Of course she does. The liner gave her the coordinates. The destroyer needs only to follow, to reach the location, to begin dropping depth charges in a pattern calculated to kill anything below. The British are good at this. They have been hunting U-boats for 3 years. They have learned, range 2,000 meters. Klaus stands in the control room, listening to the soundman's reports, watching the depth gauge, counting seconds. This is the other side of submarine warfare, the side Berlin does not mention in its announcements. For every ship sunk, there are hours of this, hiding in the dark, listening to the hunter approach, waiting for the explosions that will crush your hull like an egg. Range 1,000 meters. She is slowing. I think, yes, she is preparing to attack. This is it. This is the moment Klaus bought with mercy. If he had sunk the liner, he would be escaping now, running south toward safety. Instead, he is here, 120 meters down, waiting for a British destroyer to kill him and every man aboard because he could not bring himself to murder civilians. Was he right? Was he wrong? He does not know. He knows only that the choice is made, and now comes the price. Splashes, the sound man whispers. Depth charges in the water. Klaus closes his eyes and waits. The first depth charge explodes 300 meters to starboard. The shock wave hits U-63 like a hammer. The submarine shudders, lights flicker, dust rains from the overhead. Men grab whatever is closest, pipes, bunks, bulkheads, and hold on. Klaus stands at the chart table, gripping the edge, forcing his body to stay upright. This is command, showing no fear, even when your legs shake and your bowels loosen and every instinct screams to run, even though there is nowhere to run. The second explosion is closer, 200 meters to port. The submarine rolls 5 degrees. Cork insulation falls from the hull in chunks. A pipe joint cracks, spraying seawater. Leak in the bilge. Someone shouts. Fisher is already moving, wrench in hand, sealing the joint before it fails completely. Third explosion. Directly overhead, 100 meters. The sound is not sound, it is physical force, transmitted through water, into steel, into flesh. Klaus's ears ring. His vision blurs. Blood runs from his nose. Around him, men clutch their ears, crying out silently in the deafening aftermath. The lights go out. Emergency lighting kicks in dim red bulbs that cast everything in shades of blood. The electric motors stutter, catch, keep running. 120 meters depth. Hull integrity intact. They are still alive. Damage report, Klaus manages to say. His voice sounds distant, muffled by ringing ears. Reports come in from each compartment. Forward torpedo room, minor flooding, under control. Crew quarters, 3 men unconscious from concussion, 1 with a broken arm from being thrown against a bunk. Engine room, port diesel cracked, its mounting inoperable. Starboard diesel intact but also inoperable because they are submerged. Batteries at 40%. The attack has cost them 20% of their power. Range to destroyer? Klaus asks. The sound man removes his hydrophones, shaking his head. His hearing is temporarily damaged by the explosions. The backup sound man takes over, pressing the hydrophones to his ears. Difficult to hear. My ears. Wait. Propeller noise. Bearing 015. Range, I think 1,000 meters. She is circling back. Another attack run. The British destroyer knows U-63 is here, knows roughly where, knows that if she keeps dropping charges, eventually she will score a direct hit. 1 charge within 20 meters will rupture the hull. 1 charge within 10 meters will crush them instantly. Klaus calculates. At 3 knots, U-63 moves 50 meters per minute. In the 3 minutes since the attack, they have traveled 150 meters from their initial position. Not enough. The destroyer will drop another pattern, and some of those charges will be closer. Make your course 180, Klaus orders. Maintain depth 120 meters. Reduce speed to 2 knots. Slower means quieter. Quieter means harder to detect, but it also means they take longer to escape, longer until they are out of the depth charge zone. This is the balance. Run fast and be heard, or run slow and be patient. The destroyer makes another pass. 6 more depth charges, none as close as the first pattern, but close enough. The submarine shakes with each explosion. More leaks spring. Fisher and his engineers move through the boat with wrenches and wooden plugs, sealing cracks, tightening joints, keeping the ocean outside where it belongs. Then silence. The destroyer's propellers fade. The sound man listens intently. She is moving away, bearing 030, speed 20 knots, range increasing. Has she given up, or is she summoning help? Klaus does not know. He knows only that they have survived the last few minutes, and survival is measured in minutes now. Maintain course and speed, Klaus says. Continue silent running. Air status? Hoffman checks his instruments. Carbon dioxide at 4.2%, oxygen at 16%. We have perhaps 4 hours before men start losing consciousness. 4 hours. The submarine can remain submerged for 4 more hours, and then the crew will begin to suffocate. They must surface tonight, must run the diesels, charge the batteries, ventilate the boat. But surfacing means vulnerability. And somewhere above, British destroyers are hunting. Klaus looks around the control room. His crew looks back exhausted, frightened, but still functional, still trusting him to bring them home. He wonders if that trust is justified. He wonders if his decision to spare the liner has just killed them all. He wonders, but he does not speak these thoughts aloud, because command means certainty, even when you feel none. We will wait until dark, Klaus says. Then surface and run southwest. If we are not pursued, we continue to our patrol area. If we are pursued, we dive and evade. Questions? No one has questions, or if they do not ask. In a submarine, you do not question the captain, because the captain is the only thing between you and the abyss. The afternoon passes in tense silence. U-63 creeps south at 2 knots, trying to put distance between itself and the attack zone. Every hour, Klaus surfaces the periscope briefly to check for threats. Every hour, he sees the same thing: empty ocean, gray sky, no ships. But empty does not mean safe. Destroyers can appear in minutes. At 1600 hours, Hoffman reports air quality critical, carbon dioxide at 4.8%. 2 men have fainted in the crew quarters. Others are vomiting, disoriented, showing symptoms of hypoxia. They must surface soon. Within the hour, all men will start dying. Klaus checks his watch. Sunset is at 17:30, 90 minutes. Can they last 90 minutes? He looks at his crew. The plainsman's hands shake on the controls. The helmsman's face is gray, his lips blue. These are young men, strong, trained, selected for submarine duty because they can endure hardship, and they are failing because the air itself is poison. Prepare to surface, Klaus says. Surface at 1700 hours. Be ready to dive immediately if we are detected. The crew stirs. Men wake from exhausted half-sleep. The torpedo room reports tubes reloaded, 2 torpedoes remaining. The engine room reports ready to start diesels. Throughout the boat, systems are checked, valves are opened, compressed air is conserved for emergency dive. At 1700 hours, with the sun still above the horizon, but the light fading, Klaus gives the order. Surface. Compressed air roars into the ballast tanks, forcing water out. The submarine rises. The depth gauge needle climbs. 120 meters. 100, 80, 60, 40, 20. At 15 meters, Klaus extends the periscope. A quick scan, no ships visible. The horizon is clear. Surface, open main vents. The submarine breaks the surface. The conning tower hatch opens. Klaus climbs the ladder, followed by the bridge watch. Fresh air pours down the hatch, cold, salty, clean. Below, men gasp, drawing deep breaths, coughing out the poison they have been breathing. Klaus stands on the bridge, scanning the horizon with binoculars. The ocean stretches in all directions, empty. The wind is stronger now, 20 knots from the west, driving waves 3 meters high. The submarine rolls in the swell. Below, Fisher starts the starboard diesel. The engine coughs, catches, roars to life. The vibration runs through the entire boat. The diesel smells of oil and exhaust, beautiful, life-saving exhaust that is fresh air compared to what they have been breathing. The battery charge begins. At full power, the diesel can charge the batteries to 80% in 4 hours. But 4 hours on the surface is suicide. Klaus plans to run for 1 hour, charge to 50%, then submerge again. 50% is enough for one more day, one more attack, one more chance to sink ships before returning to Germany. The radio operator emerges from below, his face pale but relieved. Herr Oberleutnant, I monitored British radio traffic. The destroyer that attacked us reported sinking a U-boat. They think we are destroyed. Klaus allows himself a small smile. The British destroyer thinks they scored a kill. She will not search further. This is the advantage of depth charges. The attacker rarely knows for certain if they have succeeded. Sometimes they guess right. Sometimes they guess wrong. Today, they guessed wrong, and U-63 survives. But survival is not victory. Klaus reviews the patrol in his mind. 12 days at sea, 3 ships sunk, 4, counting today's freighters, 2 torpedoes remaining, batteries damaged, port diesel inoperable, air scrubbers nearly exhausted, provisions low, and the crew exhausted, frightened, pushed beyond what any training manual says is safe. The smart decision is to return to base, declare the patrol complete, sail for Germany, arriving in perhaps 6 days if the weather holds and the British do not find them. Safety, rest, survival. But orders say to remain on patrol until torpedoes are expended or provisions are exhausted. Berlin wants ships sunk. Berlin wants Britain starved. Berlin does not care if U-63 is damaged, if her crew is dying from exhaustion, if every extra day at sea increases the chance they will not return at all. Klaus stands on the bridge, feeling the wind, breathing the clean air, watching the sun set over the Atlantic. In 6 hours, it will be dark. In 12 hours, it will be dawn. And somewhere out there, more ships are sailing for Britain, more targets, more decisions. He thinks about the passenger liner Ariadne, the ship he let escape. Was he right? Did those civilians deserve to live more than his crew deserves to survive this patrol? He does not know. Perhaps there is no right answer. Perhaps war destroys the possibility of right answers, leaving only choices that are wrong in different ways. The radio operator appears again. Herr Oberleutnant, message from command. They acknowledge our success report. They order us to continue patrol. They say he hesitates. What do they say? Klaus asks. They say to sink more ships. They say we are heroes. They say Germany depends on us. Heroes. Klaus almost laughs. Heroes do not hide underwater, launching torpedoes at unarmed freighters. Heroes do not count dead sailors as statistics. Heroes do not lie awake at night, seeing the faces of people they killed from 5 kilometers away. But he says none of this. Instead, he says, acknowledge the message. Tell them we will continue patrol. Because what else can he do? Disobey? Mutiny? Sail for neutral waters and surrender? These are not choices. These are fantasies. The only choice is forward hunting ships, launching torpedoes, hiding from destroyers, slowly starving and suffocating and trying to survive long enough to see home again. At 1800 hours, Klaus orders the submarine to dive. The diesel shuts down. The battery charge is incomplete, only 45%, but it will have to be enough. They submerge to 50 meters and continue southwest, searching for the next convoy, the next target, the next decision. Night falls. U-63 runs submerged at 4 knots, heading southwest along the shipping lanes. The air is better now. The brief surface period has purged some of the carbon dioxide, but still bad. By morning, it will be critical again. This is submarine life, a cycle of suffocation and relief, never quite fresh, never quite lethal, always hovering at the edge of both. Klaus sits in the officers' quarters, writing in his log by the light of a single red bulb. The entry is brief. 23rd February 1917. Attacked convoy at 11:27 hours. Fired 4 torpedoes. 2 hits confirmed. Sunk British freighter, approximately 5,000 tons, and 1 unidentified freighter, approximately 4,000 tons. Attacked by destroyer. Evaded with depth charge damage minor. Continuing patrol. Personnel. No fatalities. 3 injuries non-serious. Morale satisfactory. Weather. Overcast. Wind west 20 knots. Sea state 4. Position. 50 north, 13 west. He does not write about the passenger liner. He does not write about the choice he made or the consequences he accepted. These things do not belong in a naval log. They belong somewhere else, in memory, in conscience, in the long hours of darkness when sleep will not come and you are alone with your decisions. Müller enters the quarters, his face drawn. Herr Oberleutnant, I have updated the patrol summary. We have enough provisions for 4 more days, enough fuel for 3 days of submerged operations. 2 torpedoes remaining. I recommend we return to base. Klaus nods slowly. Command orders us to continue patrol. Command is not here, Müller says quietly. There is no insubordination in his voice, only exhaustion. They are in Berlin, sitting at desks, looking at maps. They do not know what it is like. They cannot understand. No, Klaus agrees. They cannot. They sit in silence for a moment. Then Müller says, "Did we do the right thing today? Letting the liner go?" Klaus considers the question. He has been asking himself the same thing for hours. "I do not know," he says finally, "but I know I could not have done otherwise. Even if it costs us?" Even then, Müller stands. "I hope you are right, Herr Oberleutnant. I hope we survive to find out." He leaves. Klaus is alone in the quarters. He closes the log and sets it aside. He checks his father's watch 2200 hours. 10 at night. In 6 hours, the sun will rise. In 6 hours, they will search for new targets. In 6 hours, Klaus will make new decisions, and some of those decisions will kill people, and he will have to live with that, because there is no other choice. This is February 23rd, 1917. This is war. This is what it means to command a submarine in the Atlantic, a strange combination of boredom and terror, of absolute power and utter helplessness, of hunting others while being hunted yourself. Klaus has been doing this for 8 months. If he survives, he might do it for 8 more. But on this night, in this moment, he does not think about the future. He thinks only about today, the ships he sank, the ship he spared, the choice he made at 11:27 this morning that might have been right or might have been wrong, but was at least his own. He lies down in his bunk. The submarine rocks gently in the Atlantic swell. The electric motors hum. Through the bulkhead, he can hear Fisher checking pressure gauges in the engine room. Somewhere forward, men are sleeping, or trying to, in the stale air. Klaus closes his eyes. He does not sleep immediately. Sleep does not come easily in submarines. But eventually, exhaustion overcomes thought, and he drifts into unconsciousness, rocked by the ocean, suspended in darkness, dreaming of nothing at all, Above him, the Atlantic stretches vast and cold and indifferent. Ships sail, submarines hunt, men die, and the war continues day after day, each day bringing new convoys, new targets, new decisions that no training can prepare you for. On February 24th, Klaus will wake at 4:13. As always, he will check the air. As always, he will surface the periscope and search for ships. As always, and if he finds them, he will make the same calculations: which to attack, which to spare, how to balance the orders from Berlin with the voice of conscience that grows quieter with each sinking but never quite disappears. This is the life he chose when he joined the Navy. This is the war he serves. And somewhere, in some future he cannot see, there will be an ending victory or defeat, survival or death, a return to Germany or a permanent rest in the Atlantic deep. But that is tomorrow. Tonight there is only this: a submarine 40 meters down, running southwest at 4 knots, a crew of 38 men, breathing bad air, counting the hours until they can surface again, and a young officer, lying in his bunk, trying not to think about the choices he has made and the choices that still await. U-63 will survive this patrol. She will return to Germany on March 7th, 1917. She will sink 2 more ships before then. Klaus Zimmermann will be awarded the Iron Cross for his actions on February 23rd. The citation will read, "For extraordinary gallantry and tactical acumen in sinking enemy shipping under hazardous conditions." It will not mention the passenger liner. It will not mention the choice. These things are not recorded in citations. On April 6, 1917, the United States will declare war on Germany. Unrestricted submarine warfare, the policy that Klaus has been following, the policy that forced him to make impossible choices, will prove to be one of the greatest strategic mistakes in modern history. It will bring a new power into the war, a power with unlimited resources, and it will ensure Germany's eventual defeat. But Klaus does not know this yet. On this night, he knows only that he has survived another day, and that is enough. The submarine continues southwest, hunting in the darkness, and somewhere above, the stars shine down on the Atlantic, cold and distant and eternal, witnessing everything, judging nothing,